And also, don't give up when you feel like giving up, because those people that do give up are the majority that don't get to where most people want. But it's that minority that keep pushing through, that keep going through all adversity, who actually achieve what many want but actually don't.
Welcome to season 2 of Bigger Than the Hustle, and I'm excited. We've got so many brilliant guests lined up with so much awesome knowledge, and the way they come out in the world is just beautiful, and that's why they're coming on. So my first guest has to be awesome, obviously. She brings so much good energy to the world, and she's doing so many things that are a little bit different to try and inspire, to show it is possible for a lot of people. Now, by mainstream society standards, you probably call her crazy. She's left a career as a doctor and now is a financial freedom strategist. And we'll talk about that more because I don't really know what that is as well. So, and she does this while raising 2 beautiful girls as well. And she's also in the process of emigrating to Ibiza, which I'm sure a lot of us would want to do as well. So let me introduce her because I'm sure she can introduce herself so much better than I can. So hi, Tania.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. So if I can hand over the mic to you for a few seconds, and if you could just introduce yourself and how you come into the world, and then we'll go into the conversation from there.
Cool. So thank you so much for having me, first of all. It's a real pleasure to be here. So I'm Tania King-Mohammad. I am a financial freedom strategist. I have recently left employment as a doctor. So I've left my job in the NHS, and I essentially created financial freedom through business. And the first business that I actually set up was just over 2 years ago now. Which was a property investing business. It's a short-term rental business. And with that, I had a strategy in place to replace my medical salary to give me freedom of being wherever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, to create that financial freedom. And so I was able to replace my medical salary within a few months, and I've officially now left employment to pursue my dream of building the life that I want, through the vehicle of financial freedom, which is just really exciting because it's been a plan in the pipeline for a long time, and it's finally become realized, which is just amazing. And I'm so grateful, and I feel so privileged to be in this position. I am referred to as the freedom coach sometimes, but that basically means I am a financial freedom strategist. So I am here to inspire and empower other people who want more time, more money, more opportunity, however that looks to them, through creating financial freedom through a business that they absolutely love. And I'm particularly keen on online businesses. So whether that's developing your own courses, whether that's developing your own memberships or ebooks or online coaching programs, whatever it is, I'm here to kind of inspire and empower other people to actually realize that you can go and achieve the life that you really want. All you have to do is know what you want, first of all, start with the end in mind, and then have a strategy and action plan put into place, and then take consistent action. So that's what I'm here now to do, really. That's my calling that I finally realized. And I always knew as a doctor, sort of going into being a doctor and going into medicine, I was here to help people significantly in a positive way. But now I'm transitioning from healthcare, so helping people in that realm, to now helping people achieve their true potential and achieve realization of what they really want to achieve in their life.
Now, I love the way you've just explained everything to us. Now, something that stood out straight away was you mentioned that you had a career as a doctor and you were part of the NHS, and now you're transitioning out of that into your career with financial freedom, and property, I think, is one of those things. Now, for you to invest so much time, because I know a lot of people that listen to this have done a lot of education and been through different career routes to find their path and find their journey and find their calling.
Yeah.
What was it that gave you the belief that, first of all, you'd spent so much time and energy invested in learning about, healthcare, about the body, and about serving people through health, and then deciding to switch that? And it's almost like, okay, I've learned all this for so long, and now I choose that I want to do something else. Now, a lot of people may be quite fearful of doing that and say, actually, that's all I know, so that's all I'm going to do. So what advice would you have for anyone that maybe have spent a chunk of their life learning and studying one thing, and then actually realizing maybe that's not for me anymore and I want to move to a different path. To not have the fear and just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. So what's sort of really become a big realization for me over the last couple of years is that we have just one life. We have one life to live, and it is not a rehearsal. As cliched as it sounds, it's not a rehearsal. This is the one chance that we get. And I'm really, really fortunate and lucky to have an amazing, supportive husband who thinks much more open-mindedly than I ever have. And he's sort of cultivated and nourished sort of my open-mindedness, if that's a word, and to be able to think more laterally, but to also put cards on the table and actually say, are you happy? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you live the life that you want? If not, why not? And what do you want? And how are we going to change it? So I've been really fortunate to have an amazing husband who's really supportive, who I love dearly. Raphael, he's amazing. So it's basically stems from that, really. You need to ask yourself, are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you doing the thing that is really aligned with your true calling and really aligned with your highest values? Because that's what's important. And if you're not doing something, if you're not following a career which you feel really fulfilled, really passionate about, really happy about doing, then you're never going to be doing that to the highest level possible, because it's not what you're truly passionate about. So I'm very much about just literally asking people to put their cards on the table, to actually be honest with themselves first and foremost, because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter what your parents think. It doesn't matter what your parents-in-law think about what you're doing in terms of career, in terms of how you make a living, how you generate revenue and put a roof over your head. It matters about how you feel inside about yourself, and if you're happy, if you're fulfilled. For example, with medicine, I adored so much of it, but so much of it stressed me out. It was a huge responsibility. There were endless times where I used to come home crying after a shift because I just felt so stressed out. There were endless times where I couldn't spend special family occasions with my family and with my loved ones, which just doesn't align with my highest values, with my core values, in that family and health are always first. You know, I had to do endless night shifts, which completely messes with your physiology, with your body, with how you feel, your tiredness, your energy levels. And I just had to step back and think, this just doesn't fit what I want in life, my highest values in terms of family and health coming first. And it was just incredibly stressful. So I had to do something about that. And, you know, you've mentioned me emigrating to Ibiza. It was important for me to find something to replace my salary, which I could replace the salary to put a roof over my head and my family's head, but also be a semi-passive or even passive business for me to step away, so I'm not tied down to a geographical location, because my husband and I want to move us and our family abroad to Ibiza. So I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but it's basically, you need to just evaluate your life choices, whether you're happy, whether you feel fulfilled. And if you don't, just find a vehicle, go and do some research and find out what you really want to do and what really makes you tick, because you can most definitely generate a revenue from anything that you want to. It's just a case of knowing what you want at the end, starting with the end in mind, as I've mentioned already, putting a strategy in and taking consistent action. It's the consistent action that you need to take that will actually get you there. And also, don't give up when you feel like giving up, because those people that do give up are the majority that don't get to where most people want. But it's that minority that keep pushing through, that keep going through all adversity, who actually achieve what many want but actually don't, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's so interesting that you have mentioned quite a few things in your explanation of the way you've chosen to live your life. And I think it's so important for people to hear this, because it always is a choice, isn't it? We have a choice. And sometimes when we choose with the knowledge that we have at the time, later we see maybe that wasn't the right choice, but we always have another choice. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you seem to be coming into the world and you seem to be treading your path with what serves you and what gives you your highest calling, because that makes you happy. And if you're happy, then the people around you are happy as well, because they're surrounded by love and joy. Now, I know I personally have always chosen a path that helps me, and I know works for me. And even if that means I switch and I've tried different things, it's worked for me at the time, and then maybe later I think, okay, maybe now it's time to try again. What I heard some little threads of things come out when you were speaking in terms of the support around you. So you have
Hmm.
your husband who's supportive, obviously you have your children, you want to create a world and a life that shows them that anything is possible.
Yeah.
In your upbringing, so if we go back, sort of rewind to your younger days as you were growing up,
Hmm.
what were the influences that allowed you to have that kind of mindset? Did you have that then, or is that more that's been created as you've got older?
So that mindset, to be honest, the one that I've kind of touched upon just now,
Mhm.
has really been something that I've worked on over the last 2 years. Not before then. I had no clue before then about self-development, about mindfulness, about living the best life you possibly can and impacting as many people as you can positively. It was never it was never apparent to me that that was even possible. Prior to 2 years ago, I was stuck in a rut thinking I had no options. I was very blinkered. I had no idea about the other opportunities that were out there. And it was only once I'd started to get into the entrepreneurial sphere where I up-leveled my network, where I up-leveled my surroundings, because we are a product of our environment. So if you want to go and achieve bigger and better things, or if you want to go and impact people in a bigger and better way, you have to look around you. You have to look around your environment. You have to up level to inspire you and keep you motivated. So that's including your network in terms of people. So I always try to network with people who are at least at my level, if not at levels above me, to help drive me forward. And those people that motivate me with things that inspire me. For example, I love cars and I love cars. So I've recently bought a car that I really love, and that inspires me and motivates me to keep going because I enjoy driving it. It's nothing to do with flashing it around. It's just because I enjoy it. Because that's an enjoyment of mine personally, nothing to do with, oh, what do you think of my new car kind of thing. So it's about up-leveling the things around you, your surroundings and your environment, whether they're, a nice handbag or clothes labels or nice holidays mean that's the thing that you enjoy doing and that's how you up-level your environment, then I would suggest doing something like that, but it has to fit with what is valuable to you. So it's very much the last 2 years that I've really been working on my mindset since I've up-leveled my environment. I've changed my network completely. Like the people that I was in communications with a lot prior to 2 years is completely changed now. The people that I surround myself with, of course, virtually at the moment, are very different to those that I surrounded myself with up to 2 years ago. Now, just in terms of my upbringing, because you've asked about my upbringing. So my parents are obviously the biggest influence on me. And sadly, I lost my mum to cancer. She passed away in my arms 8 Christmases ago. And so I was very, very fortunate to have the best possible relationship with her. We had a sister-like relationship. I'm the only child. And she was just a fantastic influence on me. So I have to give her a lot of credit for where I am today. Equally, my dad, who thankfully is still here, who's still with me, who is my best friend, he has had an incredible influence over me, and both in their own rights, both in very, very different ways. So my mum was British, she was English, she was from Essex, whereas my dad is Arab, so he's from Iraq, so he's a sort of stricter Middle Eastern Arab type father. I'm sure there may be some similarities with your background, with your parents coming from Asia, I presume. And the kind of mentality is very different between the British English mentality and the Iraqi Arab Middle Eastern mentality. So my mum just wanted me to be happy. However, she always drove me and motivated me and encouraged me never to give up on something, always to see something through that I'd started, always, whether it was my music exams, getting to grade 8 level at playing the flute, or whether it's doing other exams, even when I was in my radiology training as a radiologist, which I'm now at consultant level in, even though I'm not doing it physically at the moment. When she was really poorly, close to just before she passed away, she just promised me not to give up because of everything that was going on with her, and not to let what was happening with her affect my exams, because I had big exams coming up. And she always put that driver in me to never give up on something. And I think that's really important. Now, of course, if you're in something or involved in something which makes you unhappy, you have to evaluate as to whether carrying on and seeing it through to the end is going to benefit you. Now, I've carried on and completed my medical training and my consultant training to be a consultant radiologist level, because that's important to me, because that's one of my core values, not to give up on something that I've started. And knowing that I have a privileged position now, whereas whenever I want to go and practice radiology, I can, which is, a huge privilege to be able to help people in that way. And I don't doubt that at all. So she instilled that ethos of never giving up on something. Whereas my father, with a completely different outlook and mindset and agenda, was always pushing me to be very academically accomplished. So basically, it was drawn out in my destiny to be a doctor. That was it. All of his siblings were doctors, and that's what he knew best. And because he's had struggles in his life financially with employment, all that kind of thing, he has always driven me and motivated me to be a pillar in the community and society. And the only and best way that he could see that happening was for me to be a doctor, because all of his siblings are doctors and they've all done really well for themselves by and large. So I've had kind of those two kind of conflicting kind of influences from two parents who are from very different backgrounds and from very different upbringings. But I'm very, very grateful, and I feel very privileged to have had those influences, because they've definitely done their absolute best by me in terms of getting me the best possible education that they could have, and instilling, core values in me, which I think are, strong core values. For example, maintaining integrity, always being kind to others as you would want others to be kind to you, always being honest, always being genuine, all those kind of things, but also being very hardworking as well. Both of them have instilled that in me. Also, just something else to add from my dad and from his background. So being Iraqi and having those foundations of having a family that comes from a place that has been through such turmoil has really put an instinct and a kind of a sense of resilience in me, because Iraqi people have been through so much, have been through multiple wars, they've been through complete destruction in terms of the infrastructure of the country, with regards to healthcare, with regards to education, everything. They've had to be so resilient to survive everything that they've gone through. And so that definitely plays a massive factor and a massive role in me and who I am and my achievements. So I hope that answers your question. I know I've gone about it in a roundabout way, but I definitely have, I'm indebted to my parents in terms of their influence and their upbringing. However, I will say that in terms of my mindset, particularly my money mindset, I had major issues with my money mindset up until 2 years ago. And over the last 2 years, particularly the last year, through sort of self-guided education and up-leveling my environment and my network, I've been able to change my money story and my money mindset around, because prior to that, I was only ever affected and influenced by my parents' money story, who were never really good with money. They never brought me up with a financial education. They didn't bring me up with knowing how to manage my finances and being wealth conscious. They didn't ever bring me up to think you could be whatever you want to be. You can achieve the wealth or the revenue or the income that you could ever possibly dream of or want. And so it's over the last year that I've really worked on that myself through education and through listening to multiple audiobooks. I love audiobooks. I can't really physically sit down and read a paper book at the moment, and for the last few years, just because life is very busy. So I like to leverage my time, and so I listen to audiobooks. So, I've been able to completely change my money mindset myself over particularly the last year, to really change the way I think about money and how I behave, my behavior and relationship with money, which is really important, because if you want to make more of it, generate more of it, you have to think more about it. You have to improve your relationship with it, and you have to be in contact with it all the time in terms of checking your bank account and checking your incomings and outgoings and all that kind of thing. I never thought that I could generate 10K months prior to a year or 2 years ago. And now I can do that often. And it's all down to your subconscious mind because of the influences that were there when you were a very young child growing up in your upbringing. So that's quite relevant to your question.
I think what's interesting about your story as well is that you have a solid foundation in terms of, like you said, your parenting. Now, your one parent gave you one way and one grounding, and your other parent gave you another way and another grounding.
Yeah.
And that provides sort of like your left foot and your right foot with stable ground to stand on, right?
Yeah.
And then you take that level and understanding to say they did the best they could, but now I need to make my own choices based on that. And it seems like that's the way you've decided to sort of move forward from that. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about financial freedom. You were talking about financial freedom. Now, what's the importance of financial freedom to you?
Okay, so financial freedom to me means being able to work whenever you want, wherever you want, on whatever you want. So it means being able to work on something that really excites you, that you're really passionate about. So at the moment, I'm very much working on helping other people set up businesses, whether that's a short-term rental business or service accommodation business, or whether that's setting up courses related to their niche and their expertise or the things that they're passionate about, or group coaching programs or one-to-one mentoring. I'm very much focused on that kind of thing at the moment. So I believe that you have to be passionate about what you do. So that very much relates to what financial freedom is to me. So I'm now able to work on the things that I truly enjoy because I don't have that time pressure of exchanging my time for money in employment in a job, which I knew for the last two plus years that just wasn't for me in the long term, because I'm not here to be dictated to whether I can spend my birthday with my family or not. So in December just gone now, I had to work all day on my birthday, which was a bank holiday just after Christmas. It was the 28th of December. And I had to do an on-call shift the whole day, which meant that I couldn't spend my birthday with my family, which was a really important event, particularly in lockdown, because we've been through a lot of, instability. It's these small occasions that we really kind of cherish and have to really enjoy. And so that was taken away from me because of employment, because of a rota, and essentially because I was answerable to someone in employment. So it's very important for me now to be working on things that I love, to not have a ceiling in terms of the revenue and income that I can generate for myself, because I know that the sky is the limit. And the only limiting factor is me and my mindset. So if I can change that, transform that and turn that around, then, the possibilities are endless. So that's what financial freedom means to me. It means more time, more money and more opportunity. And you get to be in control of that. It's a decision at the end of the day.
And what I like about that is that you, like you mentioned, your parents didn't have the greatest grounding in the financial area of life, and I think a lot of parents, I'm sure your dad being an immigrant, like my dad and my mum were both immigrants, and the immigrant mindset was to graft, to save, to keep whatever you've got and to make it last as long as possible, as opposed to saying there's an abundance out there and there's an abundance of choices and abundance of creativity that can generate you whatever you want. I understand that because you come into a country where you're almost not known. This is like 70s and 80s, where you're not wanted a lot of the time, and it's hard, and you have to stick at it. And my dad said the first few years being here were the hardest of his life in terms, because he's such a positive person, but he goes, they questioned so much because he knew that he couldn't go back to Africa because he'd reached his sort of pivot, he reached his ceiling there. And staying here, he knew there was so much more opportunity, but he had to deal with the shit while he was here for the first few years to get through it before he could bring his family over and his brothers and make a home here. But he goes, every day I question, why was I doing this? Why was I doing this? And I love that mentality in terms of, like you said, have a bigger picture in mind, but just get through. Sometimes you just have to get through things, don't you? You just have to say, I know I'm not enjoying certain things right now, but if I keep at it, I know the bigger picture is going to be so much better. So let me just discipline myself and focus myself on that. And then, life will be how I believe it is because I've put the hard work and the effort in, right? So now I want to switch this up a little bit, Tania.
Ooh, exciting.
Now, I want to project 2 years forward. So we're sitting here in 2023, okay,
Hmm.
January. So that's 2 years from now. And we're having this conversation, and I've said to you, since our last conversation, Tania, you've told me that, life has been amazing. Why has that been? What kind of things will you be saying in present tense at that time to make that a true statement?
So I'm living my true best life. That is the most important thing to me. For me to be able to live the life that I really want, where I'm really happy, I'm content through helping other people live their best lives in terms of my business coaching and all that kind of thing, my mentoring, but also me living the life in terms of my family life, living in a location where my family want to live, because we're emigrating to Ibiza. We are living in
And can you just, Tania, can you switch that to present tense? So we're in Ibiza right now, and
Okay,
what's
sorry.
happened?
Okay.
Great, this is the business I'm running. Let's talk present, because that's how we draw it into us.
Okay, fair enough. Good point. So we live in Ibiza. We live in a beautiful home where the weather is fantastic. The sun is always shining the majority of the time. My children are happy because we get to live an alfresco lifestyle. We live outdoors most of the time. We can eat outdoors, play outdoors, because the weather is so good. The quality of life is so good. I don't have to worry about income. I don't have to worry about working hard to exchange my time for money in a job or in employment, because I've got multiple streams of income, which I started creating 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so money isn't a concern. I have the ability now to impact millions of people globally in terms of helping them set up their dream businesses to live more of a life that they desire and that they dream of, in terms of creating financial freedom. I'm happily married with my amazing husband, who has always supported me from day one and who always has been by my side. And I'm constantly spreading the message that anyone can do this, anyone can achieve this. It's just a decision that you need to make, which I made a few years ago. It's only a few short years ago, but I can tell you the difference between then and now has been absolutely epic. So life is good and very much enjoyed.
Brilliant. Tania, is so interesting, because I do that with coaching clients that I've coached, and it can be difficult to forward project yourself and talk in present tense as if it's a future. But I am 100% convinced that when we can talk like that, we draw it into our lives and we create that, because it's a reality. It's almost like your body and your time just has to catch up, but it's already done. It's like next year, last year I was supposed to be doing the New York Marathon, and so it's been shifted to this year for obvious reasons. And I can already see myself going through the finish line, even though I've never done a marathon. So I'm in training right now, and I've not even gone up to 26 miles. I'm probably on 22, 23. But in my mind, it's already done. The finish line is already there. It's happened. The body and the time just need to catch up. And I love thinking in that way, because everything is possible, isn't it? What dream clients do you want? What business do you want? What people do you want around you? It's already there. We live in a universe, and it's already there. We just have to choose it. The thing is, like you said before, but you have to decide, don't you? We all have to just choose, what do we want? What's going to make us the best version of ourselves, and go for it. And don't let society, people around you, the information that's being fed to us through media, through news, etc., don't let that stop us being the version that we know we need to be. And inside, we know why that is. And, you're lucky and I'm lucky that we have supportive partners, we have supportive families that will allow us to be who we want to be in the way we want to be, and help us get there as well. I know there's so many people that listen to this that don't have that support structure around them. And like you said earlier, something I picked up very easily was, if you don't have that around you, go and find them, because those people are out there, aren't they? Now, today, in this virtual world we live in, there's so much more access to people, and people that are just coming out in the world in the way that you believe is going to help you and help you in your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the importance of, like you said, surrounding yourself with people that inspire you, that push you to be more than even that you believed was possible for yourself. And I think that's so important because something, a guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, a guy called David Goggins.
Yeah, I've listened to his book.
Yeah. And something interesting he said in his book was, we're only ever, when we think we're pushing ourselves, we're only at 40% of our actual physical limit. And I think about that all the time because I think that's so exciting that I think, that's it. I think I'm at the end of my limit, but there's so much more to go.
Much more.
There's so much more to achieve, right? So if we talk about you as a person and we say we all have a superpower, what do you believe your superpower is?
Oh, that's a good question. My superpower, I believe, is being able to touch people in an inspiring and positive way. I do a lot of social media content. I put a lot of value out there, and the message and the responses that I always get back is that you're so inspiring. Your story is so inspiring, or you've inspired me to change, to take up this new job post, or to set up this new business. And so I genuinely believe that that is my superpower. Being able to inspire people to make a change to their lives for the better in a positive way. So I'm able to impact people in a positive way to help them realize that change is possible, and the achievements that they can go and get are limitless. It's only their mind that is the one limiting factor, and actually nothing else comes into it. It takes quite a lot of work to actually rework that and reprogram that. And, you know, I can't sit here and say that my mindset, my money mindset, or my mindset about myself and my confidence is 100% all the time. It really isn't. It's a dynamic process. It's a fluid process that, you know, peaks and troughs, and it just takes consistent work on and consistent action. But I believe that is my sort of true calling. That's my true superpower, to be here to inspire other people, which is what I'm doing now, to change their lives for the better. And the vehicle is through mindset transformation, but also through creating online businesses that they love, to give them the life that they want, because we all have to earn a living. It's up to you whether you want to exchange your time for money in a job, or whether you don't want to settle for that. And it's fine. I don't knock people who want to settle for that. That's great and enjoy. Or whether you want to move away from that and transform your life into one where you earn a recurring revenue, you have multiple streams of income, so you're diversified. So if another pandemic hits and one of those income streams is suddenly blasted and non-existent anymore and plummets, then you have other things to keep you going, to generate revenues for you. So that's what I'm here to do. That is my superpower, to help inspire people to change their lives, to achieve financial freedom for more time, more money, and more opportunity, through creating businesses that they absolutely love and they are very passionate about.
And I think what I believe is truthful in what you've just said there, Tania, is that you live by example as opposed to just speaking. Because as we know, words are easy and talk can be cheap. It's actions behind those words that really define someone and the way you come out in the world. And you're living that, aren't you? So you know, you've changed your career, you're raising children, you're emigrating. So it's not something you're saying, you should do this, you should do this. Look, I probably don't need to say anything. I'm living by example. And if that inspires you, that's enough for me to know that I'm making a difference on this world and I'm trying to create a little bit of an impact. So therefore, when I leave this planet, it will be a little bit better because of all the people that I've inspired and helped. And I think it's awesome when people come out. And sometimes it is uncomfortable, isn't it? Coming out and sharing a lot of things, because sometimes you can be in your own head in terms of how's this going to come across, or, you know, what's the thoughts and thinking. But then I've realized that no one else pays my bills. I pay my own bills. So therefore, I'm not interested in anyone else's opinion. My opinion of myself is higher than anyone's opinion of me. So therefore, how I come out is exactly me. And how I choose to come out is me. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I'm good with whichever it is, right?
It's
and
important I hope to have that confidence. And not a lot of people do. So it is really important to create that confidence in yourself and have that security in yourself. You know, it's really dangerous in this day and age with social media and with all the stuff that goes on in social media to really care too much and have social media influence your life and your feelings and your emotions too much. You know, there have been tragic stories about people taking their lives because of social media and the impact that it's had. So, you know, which is very dangerous. But, you know, I'm very much like you in that it's not always easy if people don't like what you do or what you say. And I've had to grow with that as well, because there have been occasions where people have, you know, tried to call me out or have tried to say, oh, what I think you're saying is complete BS. And do you know what? I am an emotional person. I am a sensitive person because I care. I care about people. I care about, I do care about what they think of me, but I have to learn to let go of people who think negatively about me or who have negative comments to say about me or what I say, because I know within myself that anything that I put out there, anything that I say is genuine, is transparent, and I have nothing to hide. So that's what it comes down to. How comfortable are you about yourself, and can you sleep at night knowing what you're doing is genuine? That's what's important.
And it's living your truth as well, isn't it? It's always knowing that this is my truth, whichever way you know, I'm not coming into the world with a veneer or a filter. This is me. And if that resonates with you, cool, let's talk. And if it doesn't, that's fine as well. And like you said, it does take time. It does take a certain amount of calluses, like David Gogg said, the amount of calluses for you to toughen up. But once you've got that, once you realize that I'm not going to appeal to everyone, but the people I do appeal to, I'm going to serve, you know, wholeheartedly, 100%. I'm going to give it all. And the people that want to listen, that's fine as well, because, but that again, Tania, I think that comes from self-love as well. So when we talk about self-love, what does self-love mean to you?
So this, I'll have to put my hands up. I'm not always the best at this. But what I'm really trying to actively work on is to actually time block, ring fence, make a sacred and safe place for the things that really, really represent my highest values. And to me, that's my health and my family. To ensure that those relationships with those people are nourished, to make sure that they don't get neglected whilst you're working on all these other exciting and big and beautiful things. I think that's something that's really important, to be able to maintain that support network, that, you know, supportive partner or spouse or business partner or friend. I think you really need to ring fence sacred time for those things that are your highest value. So to me, that's my family and my health. And I've not always been good at that. And I'll be honest, over the last year or so, you know, there have been times where my relationship has been, you know, I've not spent as much time dedicating to it because I've been working on so many other things that excite me. And, you know, I found it a real difficulty to maintain a balance sometimes, even with my children. You know, I've not spent as much time as I should have with them sometimes, which I'm really actively working on now. And I have the privilege now of not having to go somewhere to work where I'm exchanging my time for money to then, outside of those hours, be working on all the other things that I'm excited about. I've eliminated that aspect of where my time has been going, so that during the day when my children are in childcare and when my husband is at work, mummy's at work as well. And I'm, you know, mummy, the entrepreneur and businesswoman. But as soon as I go to collect them from nursery and as soon as they're at home, now my focus needs to be, and I want it to be, them and my husband, not letting work get in the way, not letting targets or tasks that I haven't done that I should have done during the day get in the way of the evening, because that needs to be ring fenced, that needs to be kept sacred, because those are the relationships that you had, those are the people that you had nurture you, nourish you and support you to help you get to where you are now. So you can't neglect that. So that, for me, that's important. I know it's not directly looking after me, but it's indirectly looking after me by looking after those relationships and those things that are really represent your highest values.
And when you're ambitious, and it sounds like, because when you've put your mind to something, you want to focus and you want to drive towards that, and it's the balance of saying, actually, that's enough done for today and I'll move on to tomorrow. And sometimes that's the difficulty, isn't it? Knowing that, actually, let me just stop. I'm fine. I feel maybe I've not done enough, or maybe I have done enough, but there's always tomorrow. And that's another part of the brain that needs to be practiced, doesn't it? It's a practice to say, actually, let me close the book today and I'll reopen it again tomorrow, because there's always tomorrow. And I think we sometimes believe, there's not enough time sometimes to get everything done. And what I've realized especially over the lockdown and over the last year, is there is so much time. There's so much time to do what we want to do. So letting go of certain things and saying, actually, I'll leave that aside. Let me focus on the things that are important to me. It's like this, just over the last 8 weeks, every Wednesday evening, I decided the people that are important to me and the people that raised me, or the people I've spent time with that I've not seen and I've not been able to give my time with, I go to their house and we go for a walk. So we message each other and we say, okay, well, this Wednesday, can we go for a walk for half an hour, just to talk and sing? So I'll meet up with them and then we just go for a walk and just to chat about life and about things and how things are. And I like, first of all, giving my time to people that have given their time to me over my whole life. These are uncles, these are, like cousins, these are friends. But also taking time out, going out my way to show them that they are important, because we live in such a instant gratification society. Everything is done quickly. We send a message, that's enough, rather than picking up the phone to make a call. Just carving out those little chunks of time, because in the end of the day, what's a couple of hours in a week? Nothing. But unless we make it important to say, this is important to me, other things can hold aside, then I'm living my truth to say, I want you to understand you are still important in my life. And even though things get busy and we all have a life and a business and children and ambitions and things like that, I won't be where I am without you, because a little bit of you is in me.
And it's important. It's so important to give back.
Recognition, isn't it?
Totally. And I can, there's a couple of things that I want to say about that. So recently I posted something on social media about, me leaving work and about the things that I'd achieved that week. And someone who I hold in very extremely high regard commented, congratulated me, and just put a comment reminding me to enjoy the journey, not just to focus solely on the destination. And that really rings true to me and has really brought a lot of things home, that actually you need to stop, sit back and actually enjoy where you are, rather than constantly working on that hamster wheel to get to the next stage or to achieve that next revenue marker, whether it's 10K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, whatever. And it's really, really important to do that, which a lot of us don't do. A lot of us get carried away. But in response also to that comment that you've just made about giving back to people who've given to you, I think that's so important. And even if it's not just the people that have had a direct influence on you, your upbringing, your success, your position where you are now, but it's also to other people who you can give so much value to and serve. That's the reason why I do my coaching. That's the reason why I'm inspiring people to up-level their lives, to create financial freedom for more time, more money, more opportunity. Because I want to show them that, I'm giving back to them. I can help you with this vehicle. I can help you create what you desire, because we are social beings. We are social animals as humans. And you want to kind of get to the end of the journey that you have on this life, on this world, and look back. And I want to look back and actually think, I did well, I did good, I impacted people positively, I helped people change their lives, their lives that they had to live. I've helped them do that. And I didn't do it for the income. Of course, I need to generate an income to live, to be able to serve people and to put a roof over my family's head. But my primary driver is to make people realize that actually you can change your life. You can turn it around. Look at me. I've worked blooming hard to get here, and it wasn't easy. And I was clueless up until 2 years ago, but I've bloody done it. And no, it's not always easy. And I would be lying if I said that it was a complete stress-free experience to go from employed last week to now full-time entrepreneur this week. It was anxiety inducing, but I took that leap of faith because I know on the other side of that door of, or that wall of anxiety, fear, was opportunity, an opportunity to grow, to impact, and to live the way I want to live. But it's also really important, as you say, to give back to those people, not only who've never impacted you directly, but also those people who've nurtured you and nourished you into the person that you are. I'll give you a little story on this. So last year, after the first lockdown, my dad lives in London, which is really sad because I just, we're best friends. I adore him. Yes, he annoys me sometimes because he's very, very overprotective still, and I'm 36 years old. You would think that I was still a teenager or something at times. But I guess I like that as well because he's always protective over me, and I like it. I feel safe and secure when I'm with him, even though he is like an older man now. He's like 72. Anyway, after the first lockdown last year, I hadn't seen him between February and July. But as soon as the doors opened in July where you could, engage in a bubble, he came down to stay with my family because he was part of our bubble. And as soon as he came down, like I realized something wasn't right with him. He'd lost an awful lot of weight over those sort of 4-6 months, however many months it was. It's all a bit of a blur, isn't it? He didn't look very well, and I was really genuinely concerned about him. So I was, glad that he'd come down to where we live. So being a doctor, I could implement sort of lots of tests and investigations and scans and that kind of thing quickly because I knew what to do. I knew what tests to be requested. So I got on the phone and called and registered him temporarily with GP, etc. Luckily, it turned out not to be something sinister, which is what I was really worried about. Thank goodness. I don't believe in God, and I don't want to insult anyone that does, but I believe in a higher being, and I'm so grateful to whatever that is, that power that is there, that it wasn't something sinister, because my dad is everything to me, because he's given me everything that he possibly could. He would give the shirt off his back if that's all he had, to anyone, not just to me. He's that kind of guy. And he was just really poorly with it, really down with it. And it turned out to be a thyroid problem where his thyroid was overactive. He's got Graves' disease, which means that his thyroid is constantly overactive. So he lost a lot of weight because of that. He couldn't sleep. He was very hyperactive. But we soon got that sort of managed with medication. So I'm so thankful it was that rather than anything else. But it was coming up to his birthday in August, and my husband and I were, sat down talking, and he kept showing us this car that he was like really excited about, and he's absolutely in love with this car, and kept showing us the advert online. And what do you think about this, Tania? Should I get it? Should I not get it? And I was like, Dad, do whatever you want. It's your life. Go and enjoy it. These are the years that you need to go and enjoy. The time is now. It's not next year, because you don't know what's going to happen. You have to take the bull by the horns and live it right now. He kept showing us this advert, and it looked really nice. And so Rafa and I had chats, and it was very much driven and directed by Raphael, my husband, to be honest with you. He's wonderful. And he said, let's just buy the car for him. Let's just buy the car. And it's a Mercedes convertible. It's a nice car. I would easily have the car had I not got 2 children with 2 car seats in the back, because it just doesn't work. I've tried it. And so we decided to go and buy the car. And my dad noticed that the advert said sold on it online, and he came and showed me, oh, Tania, someone's bought the car, or I should have bought it. I'm really disappointed. I should have done this. And the look and the emotion on his face, and my dad never, ever cries. I think I've seen him cry maybe once in my whole life of 36 years. But as soon as Rafa brought it down the road, and I said to Dad, oh, Dad, come outside. Raphael wants to show you something. He was like, what's going on? And he saw the car, which is obviously the same car of the advert, twigged that we'd bought the car, and it was unavailable because we'd bought it, and we bought it for him. And the emotion and the look and the surprise and the gratitude that was shown on his face, I will never, ever, ever forget that experience. That was just unbelievable. And that's just giving back to someone. And it's just, it's a monetary expense for us, but it's so much more than just a car for him, because then that gave him the opportunity and the reason to actually go out and live life again when he was getting quite down with his medical condition and just stuck at home, not doing much. He then had a reason to live and to do more, because he had this beautiful car that he'd wanted for a long time. And we gave him that. Specifically, actually, my husband was the main influence and the main driver, to be honest with you.
Love that.
So
Love
yeah,
that
it's all
story.
about giving. It's all
It
about
is.
giving back.
And it's recognition, isn't it, that they've given us so much, and these are just little things that if we can do, and we've lived our life that way, we can help and support them with these little things. Like I said, that will just make them smile, and there'll be always a memory of you in that car as well, because every time he drives, he'll think of you. So that's a really beautiful story. Now,
Thank you.
Tania, we're going to be heading over to the end of this podcast, and I'd just like to thank you, firstly, before we end the podcast, to the way you've come across today. It's been so authentic. I love these conversations because they are natural conversations. It's free flow. Yeah. It's not a Q&A session. It's just a way that I can share some energy with the world, because I think these kind of conversations need to be shared, and to show that there is possibility for everyone. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
There's a couple of last questions which I always talk to guests about, just to give a little bit of a deeper insight into you.
Okay.
So we've now reached the end of your moments on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
You've done everything you've wanted to. You've created, so many possibilities for so many people, and now you've reached the last moments of your life. You don't have enough energy to speak, but you have enough energy to write down 3 words. Now, these 3 words have helped you in your life and resonated with you, and by sharing them, hopefully that will help other people that are listening. What would those 3 words be for you?
Can I say the 3 words with a little explanation, or just the 3 words?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one would have to be faith.
Mm-hmm.
And by faith, I don't mean particularly a religious faith. I mean faith in terms of having the confidence to truly believe in yourself and what it is that you want to do. By having that faith, by really living and breathing that faith in that whatever it is that you want to achieve is possible. It is happening right now. It's going to happen. You're living that right now through visualizations, which is what we were talking about earlier briefly. You will always find a way of doing it and achieving it. Rather than believing it's possible, you actually start living it by having that faith and that confidence in yourself, or whatever it is that you have the desire to achieve and create. So that would be the first word. The second word, I would probably hyphenate because it's kind of 2, but worry less would be the second word, if I'm able to put those 2 together. Because life and time is so precious. And I hope, through our short time today, I hope I've highlighted the fact that life is just so precious. It's not infinite. It's not here forever. You don't have life forever. So don't take it for granted, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to get taken away from you. So just worry less. And that's come from personal experience, where I've really traumatized myself through worry, through anxiety, and which is something that I can consistently work on, because it's not something that I've totally nailed yet. But I would look back at my future self, as my future self, I would want to look back as me right now and on my life and think, actually, I don't want to regret worrying throughout my life. I want to kind of be more worry-free, to just live in the moment and live life right now, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen to the people you love tomorrow. So you want to look back at your life and actually think, I'm happy. I don't regret that I didn't worry. I didn't worry so much, and I enjoyed my life there and then, because it's all about living in the now. And again, just to highlight, I have not fully nailed this, but I appreciate the huge importance of it. And I just want to get that across to people, because we get so fixated sometimes on the minutiae, on the small things that actually in the grand scheme of things really do not matter. They have really little significance in the grand scheme of things. So worry less would be my second word, with a hyphen in the middle. And then I would say the third word would be genuine. So be genuine, be who you truly are, because that's the only way that you can live a fulfilled life. If you're living who you truly are, living the life that you truly are destined to live and that you want to live, and that live a life that is aligned with your highest values. And if you haven't read this book or listened to the audio book on it, then I would highly recommend reading or listening to The Values Factor by Dr. John DeMartini. is a brilliant book for any of the listeners, or I don't know if you've heard it, Bavik, but it's a brilliant book, and it just highlights the importance of living with and doing things that are aligned with your highest values. So I would just say, be yourself, be genuine, do the things that genuinely mean something to you, that are aligned with your highest values. So that's my third one. Those are my 3 words.
Perfect. And this podcast is called Bigger Than the Hustle, and right now you're bigger than the world. So I've sourced a microphone that's connected to 7.58 billion people on this planet. They can all hear you. There's no language barrier. They're all conscious, they're all awake, and they're all listening. If I handed the mic for you for the next 30 seconds, what would your message be to the world?
Okay, so you have one life to live. This is not a rehearsal. It's not going to happen again. You're not going to get a rerun of this again. So just take that into account and just reflect on that for a moment. You have everything in you right now to achieve anything that you truly desire. Whatever it is that you want, you have the resources within you right now to actually go and implement and make those things happen. You just need to decide what it is. You need to build a strategy. You need to take consistent action, and you have all that it takes. Everything is in you right now. So believe in and be kind to yourself and be kind to others, knowing that you have whatever it takes to go and achieve that. All it takes is a decision, and then the rest is up to you. But you absolutely have everything that you need right now to go and achieve or make a difference, whatever that may be and whatever is important to you.
Perfect. And I felt that was coming from your heart, and because you've said that, you've said so many things similar to that, and it resonates with me completely, because I fully agree. So at this juncture, I'd really thank you. Thank you for the way you've come across today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your authenticity in terms of saying, I've not figured it out, but I'm still trying, and I'm trying to be better every day. And I think that's all we can all try. So at this juncture, I'd like to say thank you again. Unfortunately, we've ended the podcast now. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for the way you come out in the world. And I know we'll be in touch over the years, and I'm sure we'll have many more conversations like this.
I hope so.
Thank you. So I was your host, Bhavik Patel, and this is Bigger Than the Hustle podcast. And before we go, just a few thoughts. Big energy leads to big thoughts. Big thoughts lead to big ideas. Big ideas lead to big actions. And big actions lead to a big life. So keep thinking big. Until next week, goodbye.